Come join Kyle, John, and David as they go through what's on the playlist. Find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest. In and out points, no celebs and the gossip. Back in time where we're talking about the big M's, coming attractions, what the cue. Quick checks, who'll be laughing? You abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is...
John Berger. The other one is...
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I am the Paul Atreides to John's... John is my Duncan, Idaho. And Dave, you can be... the Emperor. That was my Christopher Walken. That was terrible, wasn't it? Oh my god.
I don't even want to try my impression of his character. I don't know if he was really trying to do a character outside of his impression in Dune 2. We'll get to Dune 2. Yes, we're gonna break it all down. Duncan, Idaho. Pour one out for Duncan, Idaho. Yeah. That's not a spoiler for Dune 2, folks. It's not. It's if you saw the first one, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, we got all that. We have some quick checks. We're going to talk about some shows that are starting, ending in the reality space, in the drama space. But then we have this big thing that happened just 2 or 3 days ago. We got to break it down. No in and out points tonight. We're going to recap the Oscars. So John, play the clip.
I think you're looking at an Academy Award nomination also.
Did he just say what I thought he said?
What? Yes, Victor!
Oscars. I smell Oscars.
You see what a little buzz can do in this town?
I predicted it. I said this is the one. This is the vehicle. Morley, you told me not to do it.
All right. The 96 Academy Awards took place Sunday, March 10th on ABC. We're breaking them all down tonight. We're going to talk about the awards. We're going to talk about the ceremony. Our prediction bet, we'll get to it. So much to break down. Let's start off with the top story. Going into the night, Oppenheimer led with 13 nominations, followed by Poor Things with 11, Killers of the Flower Moon with 10, and then Barbie with 8. When it was all said and done, the dust settled, the bomb went off. Oppenheimer, who led the night, 7 wins, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actor. And then Poor Things was in second with 4 wins. That included Best Actress. And then The Zone of Interest was third with 2 wins. And then there was a couple of films that got, 1 Oscar here and there. But all right, those are your top 3 films. Oppenheimer led the night. Surprise, Kyle?
No, not really. I think we anticipated that this was kind of the major movie of the year. And yeah, I don't think there was any surprises at all. I think it was just like, it was bound to win. I'm glad we had Poor Things as our dark horse, as part of our bet. I didn't really anticipate them having a huge night like they did. Because I really like Poor Things, but I just thought it was such a weird kind of story. Yeah, that I didn't know how it would be received, but it seemed like the Academy voters liked it. So, but overall, not surprised by Oppenheimer, not surprised by all the below the line wins and also the acting categories that they won. Yeah, I mean, we predicted it. Oppenheimer, everyone was predicting it. It was kind of just, it was set in stone, with all the guild wins, all the critics wins, between Producers Guilds, the SAG Award, the DGA Award. It was picking up everything. BAFTAs. It was, I would be surprised if it was not Oppenheimer. But if anything, I guess maybe the biggest surprise was maybe the 1 or 2 that it lost. Don't get me wrong, had a great night. 7 wins is nothing to, just put aside. But it lost out on sound to The Zone of Interest. A lot of people thought, a good shot for sound. It lost adapted screenplay. We had that as our will win, same as the Good and Bad and Watchable. It was adapted from American Prometheus. It's a monster of a book, become a monster of a movie. No, it lost to American Fiction. Mm-hmm. So if anything, I thought maybe it would have picked up 1 or 2 more Oscars, but still 7, quite a good night. 7 for 13. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
That's wild. And I just love how Christopher Nolan, he leaves Warner Brothers after the whole Tenet and the Project Popcorn thing, with, oh, my film has to be in the movie theaters. You want to put it on HBO Go Max now? No way, that's not happening. I'm going to a different studio. He goes to Universal and not only makes so much money for them with Oppenheimer, but also wins Oscars, including a Best Picture win, his first win for director. It's just like, this is, after this long history with Warner Brothers, he does one film with Universal and just becomes like the biggest thing ever.
Yeah. But I mean, so when we look back at his reasoning for it, it's still so silly because now all of those directors that were saying that stuff like, oh, I don't want my films here or there or whatever, they're going to be doing that. And they're already doing that. With Steven Spielberg was saying the same thing. It's like, dude, you're all going to be doing that in a matter of no time. But it's just funny how those relationships fray. And to be honest, there's only so many studios to go around at this point.
So at some point, Warner Brothers may be combined with NBC Universal. And then meanwhile, Oppenheimer available now on Peacock, which is true.
Don't get me started on Peacock. That app can just die a fiery death, man.
I'll talk about a Peacock show later tonight. But really intrigued by the Poor Things because, as you said, Kyle, it was like, this film, will the Academy, go for it? It obviously was well liked, at least nominations wise. It was second to Oppenheimer, and then with wins, it became the second film of the night, awards wise. But I don't know. I thought this could be a film that it has so many nominations, and then it maybe gets like one, or maybe even like shut out nearly completely. Like The Favorite a few years ago had 9, 10 nominations, and it won one, Olivia Colman. And I thought maybe that's what happened here. Doesn't get anything, but then Emma Stone, Best Actress. Like, it could be like that one only thing. But no, it picked up, a bunch. And like, as the night went on, I think they did a very good job, like with the producers, because like they kind of spaced it where instead of like Oppenheimer, they like at least started with the Poor Things ones. So then like when, Oppenheimer started, gaining later, it wasn't like, oh, all night Oppenheimer. It was like the second half of the night winning the awards. But like as Poor Things was picking up those early ones, leading into the night, I was like, oh, is it Lily Gladstone? Is it Emma? Like, where is it going to go? But then when you start seeing the Academy start going for Poor Things in, in costumes, in production design, it's like, okay, yep, it's going to be Emma. Like, it kind of pushed it in that moment for me. It's like, it's going that way. And then I was glad that it was our dark horse, because even though nothing was going to stop Oppenheimer, it's like, if anything's it looks like they're liking Poor Things, so it's good we had it as a dark horse. But
yeah, for sure. But there's still, even with all the momentum going toward Poor Things' way, I still thought it was a surprise to see Emma Stone win for Best Actress, just because Lily Gladstone seemed to be in such control of it based on
she had the late momentum. And it really was shaping up as like nearly a copy of last year's Best Actress race with Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett. Like they picked up almost the exact same hardware, all the different guilds and critics groups and stuff like that. Blanchett, like Emma Stone, was a previous winner. Michelle Yeoh had the story. It's like all this stuff was like really seemingly matching on paper, but then I don't know if the timing wasn't right, or maybe again, like the Academy, we'll get to it in a little bit. Killers went 0 for 10. Another Martin Scorsese movie. I think that's like 4 in a row where he gets like a bunch of nominations, 0 wins. So something's just not clicking. And there was honestly some like rumblings that I was seeing like leading into the night that like Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone would just be like splitting the vote so much back and forth, and that there would be like a surprise third candidate.
Wow.
And there's a lot of talk that Sandra Hüller was going to be that person. And we saw there was love for that film with winning original screenplay for Anatomy of a Fall. So very interesting race. But yeah, like as the night was going on with Poor Things, it's just like, I'm leaning towards, like, if I had to make a decision then, I'm going with Emma Stone, just because like just seeing the Academy really loving the film. And also maybe like the Academy another thing we could take from this Oscars is like the Academy maybe being like more international. Like it's been growing these last few years. Like you saw it with Parasite's win a few years ago, but each year it's like more and more. You get more and more international films in for Best Picture, Best Director. Zone of Interest had a very strong showing tonight. Boy and the Heron won against Spider-Man. Poor Things obviously has a bit of an international feel from Yorgos. And then, Christopher Nolan, he is British. So it's kind of and for a while, BAFTAs, which, we look at when we're doing our predictions, they haven't been matching as much recently. Like last year, they barely got anything right, with Everything Everywhere All at Once. But this year, they almost matched completely. So it's like they went all in on Poor Things. They loved Oppenheimer. They didn't like Killers of the Flower Moon or Barbie. And that's what we saw this night. Like they didn't even nominate Lily Gladstone at the BAFTAs. So it's like weird, this
which is pretty wild. I thought Killers of the Flower Moon was a great movie. I thought it was a great adaptation of the book. So I think it's hard for to pin all that on Martin Scorsese or whatever, because I think he made a great movie with some great performances.
I don't get what else he needs to do here. Like if you look at his Wikipedia page, like how we always joke about Diane Warren's, how it's just red, and there's nothing there. He has one win. Best Director, Departed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ever. That's insane. It's just, even just you look at his last few films, whether it's something like The Wolf of Wall Street, Silence, obviously Killers of the Flower Moon. It's just what else does he need to do? The Irishman, come on.
To be fair, the competition this year was, I think, pretty tough. Yeah. I don't know about The Irishman. I haven't seen it yet, but I don't know if that was as strong a candidate as Killers of the Flower Moon. That
year it led in Oscar nominations. I was he'll get 10, 11 Oscar nominations and then he'll get zero wins. So it's a weird, we like Marty, we just don't love Marty or something. It's something, I don't know. But all right, we're talking about all these wins and stuff. We got to rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about our annual prediction bet against the Good Bad Watch. Well, of course we predicted it, in our last show. We for the most part, the top 8 awards, we'll do 2 points for a will win, 1 point for a dark horse, and then for all the below the line stuff, we will do 2 points. Just one will win pick. That's it. And let's just rip the Band-Aid off. We lost. Yeah. This is a new feeling for us, guys. I don't know how to process this. This is after 6 wins in a row, they got there first. So congratulations. It was about damn time. But congratulations, guys. We lost 24-26. But if you're, we got the scores here, and you can see green is what got right. In the top, I would say in the top 8, we did very well. Both groups did. We had the same picks, but all right, we got all the will wins except for Best Actress. That was our dark horse and Emma Stone. And then Best Adapted Screenplay, we both went with Oppenheimer for will win, and our dark horse was American Fiction. So we did very good in the main show. But the below the line stuff, I will say, when watching the show, it was the first 45 minutes, neither team was doing all that well. And I almost was I think both of us need to watch a Razzie film, because we were not hitting it. It was just, and compared to last year's score of 29-27, that means we pretty much lost 3, 4, or maybe about 3 categories really, more than usual. And we thought maybe they would spread the love around, but Barbie missed out on costume design and production design. They went to Poor Things. Poor Things also took makeup and hair, which, we thought maybe Maestro had it. Research showed all those being close, and I will say those were my 50-50, which one is it going to go with? I just thought they would spread it around a bit more. You look at costume design, it's okay, well, the costume designers, the guild split. One film gets fantasy, one film gets the period film. So I couldn't really tell. Is it going Poor Things? Is it going Barbie? They both won an award. Where's it going? But again, they matched with BAFTA. And these 3 films here, it means because they were, didn't get the love or any real shot. A lot of them went home empty-handed. Killers of Flower Moon, 0 for 10. Barbie went 1 for 8, and then Maestro went 0 for 7. So those are the top like losers, I guess, of the night.
The Maestro one has to just kill Bradley Cooper inside, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. 0 for 7. Like he went all in on this, and it just didn't work.
I wonder if to the Academy, Barbie just feels like that a marketing ploy.
Yeah,
like
it's just I think it's weird though, because like the film, like you can go into the night with 8 nominations. Like it's in the top like 3 or 4 films nomination wise. Same with like Killers of the Flower Moon. So it's like they have people liking it to be nominated, but then it's like we don't like you enough to win. It's like this weird thing. And it's like the Emmys recently, where it's like it's like almost like we'll nominate all these shows, but then at the end of the day, if you don't have a cast member in The Bear or Succession, you're not winning. Like we go all in on those 2 shows. We only watch 2 shows and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know. Is this a conspiracy? I'm thinking right now. 2 or 3 of these films here are streaming films. You got sure Apple won, with Coda a few years ago in that pandemic weird year, but like Netflix, it never really has much luck with the Oscars. Obviously with Maestro here, with The Irishman, like Killers, went 0 for 10. Like, is there kind of some streaming bias?
I mean, maybe. I don't know who the Academy voters are. You know what I mean? I don't know what makes up that contingent. Is it studio heads, or is it producers that work closely with studio heads and they're trying to still stick it to the streamers? But let me tell you, it's only a matter of time before the writing's on the wall, right? I mean, unless something drastic changes, like streaming is here to stay. So I don't know why they're not getting love from Academy voters, but I don't know. I think to me, with streaming, it's always felt like a straight to DVD vibe. Yeah, I guess. And I guess if it's not going in the theater, you're not getting that experience. Maybe that's still how it's looked at.
It's weird because I feel like with Killers, like it was in theaters for a bit. Like Apple really gave it a push. It was a while before I even went to streaming.
Yeah. I mean, I went and saw it in the theaters.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Oh, all right. The main culprit, because most of our predictions matched with the Good and Bad Watch, but when it all came down to it, it was one category, visual effects, that cost us, and that's Godzilla versus the creator. So the brain leading up to predictions said the creator. Like that's what like on paper, those were the stats. But like my gut and heart did say Godzilla -1 for some reason. I saw the heartfelt story online that was like kind of building it. But like again, you look at like who's voting in this. It's like, well, the people voting for the visual effects award are people that work in visual effects, that are part of those guilds. And where did they go? Well, the Visual Effects Society, probably voting for this, they went with the creator. 6 noms, 4 wins, including the top prize. The creator was nominated in our category. It had the love from the Academy. And like, there's this prognosticator, Ben's Oscar Math, who does a bunch of stuff for the Hollywood Reporter. He's a published author who uses math to predict these award shows. And he had, the week leading up to it, the creator with a 50% shot over Godzilla's 21% shot. So like the math was there, the stats were there, but at the end of the day, I went with one specific expert. I threw it all out and I said, I'm listening to this guy. I'm gonna do a little, back and forth. And I'm just messing with Kyle. I'm sorry. I like to make fun a little bit. But no, Kyle and I are going back and forth. And
yeah, I just thought there was no way they're going to give it to Godzilla, a Godzilla movie. I mean, they won't give anything to Barbie.
Special Godzilla
they're going to give it to Godzilla. It just didn't make sense in my brain.
Yeah. And you weren't alone. Obviously, again, my brain was saying the creator. My gut was saying Godzilla. And I asked, on Instagram for people to send in their ballots to compete alongside us and the Good and the Bad and the Watchable. And we had a user, What's Up Nikki, set in his picks to compete against us. I think he had 21 points. So he took a lot of chances with his and, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it, so he didn't beat us, so maybe he should be watching the Razzie film this year. But he did pick Emma Stone for actress, he did pick Poor Things for makeup, so we give him those wins. But he went with the creator as well, and he said, quote, always been more of a Mothra guy myself, Godzilla doesn't stand a chance. So you had at least What's Up Nikki on your side.
Yeah. I mean, all those, all of them at the Oscars holding the Godzilla, it makes for
it's a good story.
Yeah, a good story. I just thought there's no way. There's just no way. It's like, it'd be like, well, I don't want to give it that much, but it'd be like Vin Diesel winning Best Picture. Didn't he say it would happen to him?
Yeah, it's going to for Fast 11 or 12 or whatever. When's the final one? I don't know. That one's coming. Let's talk about the ceremony at large here. We have a new ceremony start time. It started at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, that totally caught me off guard. I was like, wait, I texted you. I'm like, wait, what happened? I thought this was at 8 o'clock. They even brought it up on the show.
Yeah. I think it was like weird, like with the timing of things with daylight savings, because then it was even feeling like earlier because we sprung ahead. And like I will say, at the end of the day, I loved it because the show ended at 10:30, and I was like, great. Normally this thing ends at 11:45, and I'm so tired. At the end of this here, 10:30. All right, I still got some time. I could I could do something here on a Sunday night. But anyways, maybe I don't know why exactly they did it. Maybe it was for ratings. It may have helped a little bit. May have also been the popular movies. Maybe it was both. It's hard to say. Ratings were up 4% from the year before. So 19.5 million total. That's the most for any awards show since 2020. They really took a hit that pandemic year. Like it cut it in half. So they're kind of building it back up. But the issue is, though, that 18 to 49 demographic, the one the advertisers covet, that slipped about 5 million in that age group. Which means, sure, it went up 4%, but like that 19.5 million, it's less of that 18 to 49 than usual. It's 5 million less. So the viewers that did pick up, sure, were older, but like, it's like this seesaw. So we got more people, but not exactly the people we want for advertisers. And
well, I wonder if they make clips or chopped it up and put it on whatever, TikTok or YouTube or whatever.
And hopefully they can monetize it. Like that's the issue. And I think it's my biggest thing is like, ABC, put this thing on streaming, put it on Disney Plus, put it on Hulu, put it on something here to get those eyeballs, because I think a lot of people don't have ABC, and you can get an antenna or something. You don't need to have cable to get ABC, but still it needs to be streaming. It needs to be on someone's phone. So they can watch it. Like that's what we have to do now. But
especially if we're trying to get exposure for these films, and some of your films are on there, don't you want to get exposure for those things? It doesn't make any sense to me. Put this thing on as many platforms as you can. Exactly.
Get in front of as many people as possible. Let's see. So it was supposed to start at 7. It actually started a little bit later. And I remember when I first tuned in, it was like 7 o'clock. The red carpet was still going on. I'm like, what are we doing? And then they threw to commercial. And I'm like, it's 7:02. Like, why am I watching 4 minutes of commercials? And it finally started at 7:06. Supposedly, there was protesters outside that were, causing a disturbance. So they weren't able to, get everyone in there at the right time to start the show. So that was why it was started late. But still, when you're trying to start this thing at 7, you make this big deal, new time, and then you don't even start it till, 6, 7, 8 after. It's like, all right. And then like, I thought the intro was very like, before the monologue, Kimmel does like a little like pre-taped thing where he's like inside the Barbie movie during the park bench scene, which is like, it was so weird to me because I saw this clip that he did before the Oscars. It was like a commercial for the Oscars, and it was so well done. It was like you were on the set of the Barbie movie. He was interacting with, they filmed it specifically for him, and it was like they had Kate McKinnon, they had Ryan Gosling, they had all these people interacting with him in real life kind of thing, but in those characters. And then this one just looks like so obviously and poorly edited, like last minute, like threw him in, like, green screened in. And it's like, what do you want that one, which is going to be seen by more people at the start of your show than the commercial for your show? I don't know. But anyways, I I don't have too much to say with Kimmel. He's one of those hosts that like, does the job, does his thing, but then like stands back and lets the show kind of speak for itself. I feel like, he's not like the center of attention, but like he'll be there for that bit. Like he's there.
Yeah.
Which is what you need in a host.
Yeah. And again, I will always say about these gigs, they're a thankless gig. I think he does a fine job with them. And like you said, he doesn't take it over. He allows other people to do bits, and he'll have some of his own, some okay ones, some ones that are better than others. But I think that's just how it works with these kinds of things. But there's always somebody angry about something someone said. It's dude, it's rich people giving awards to themselves. Like why are you getting upset on behalf of somebody? It's just so silly.
Know about like this theater. It's pretty much in like a shopping mall complex. So it's like, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. These people are dressed up in pretty much a shopping mall next door to like a sunglass hut. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it is, but it isn't. Like,
but also like, it's like people reacting based on people's reactions. It's like, you have no idea what they are thinking. You don't know the cut the director's making. Like, you have no idea what people are thinking
and what meme you're going to turn into.
I know. It's just so silly. It's silly.
Yeah. I don't know. The person that stole the show, though, was Ryan Gosling. Not only did he have this great banter back and forth, like this kind of roast with his Barbenheimer opponent there, Emily Blunt. They introduced a package about stunts in movies, which coincidentally both are in an upcoming movie about a stuntman. See how they magic.
See.
But the main thing was I'm Just Ken. I mean, that's what everyone's been talking about. The crowd in the room loved it. People at home loved it. Like, this was, I think, the moment of the ceremony. Like, this is what will be played back. This is the memes. This is everything. And that dirge from the Billie Eilish Barbie thing wins. It's just like, what are we doing? It's just...
Yeah.
I get it. She's a talented artist, but it's just like, if we're going to do what is the best original song, give me the song that, like, people will remember, people are talking about, song of the year, the moment. I'm telling you, 2-3 months from now, but like, 2-3 years from now, they're gonna remember I'm Just Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not gonna remember the Billie Eilish.
It's crazy how talented Ryan Gosling is, because I mean, he's singing this. He's not really a singer, but he's performing it, and the confidence. Yeah. Even just being able, like, the mic stand wasn't even at his right height, and just to like casually like flick it up and get, I'd be like, what is this? And then have to, miss my line. But it was, it was a good performance. It was very, very fun.
But there's one more thing with this song aspect. Supposedly, I think Puck News reported that, when they did all these performances throughout the evening, 5 of the songs, and when the presenters, I believe it was Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, were presenting the award, they didn't read the nominees, and Diane Warren was actually, I guess, angry about that. As soon as the song was announced, she ran, I guess, to the orchestra looking for the Board of Governors to complain, and it's just like,
really?
Yeah. Supposedly, again, you can look it up. Puck News. I think Matt Bellany reported it. He was there in the theater, and it's just like, dude, like, what more do you want? Your song from the Flamin' Hot Cheetos movie took up 3 minutes of primetime coverage of just. That's enough. Do you really need them to say Diane Warren again?
I know.
It's like,
I mean, I guess maybe her thinking is like, that's her exposure to the, like,
I guess, but it's like, you already had the 3 minutes of with the chyron that says this is the song written by Diane Warren. Like, you already had it.
Didn't they say something like, "Oh, you've seen all of them perform. Now let's." Yeah. They said something like that, right?
Yeah, I think that's enough. But that was not the only. Oh, well,
what I was gonna say.
Transition.
Unlike with the Best Picture nominees, that is that what you're going to?
That's exactly where I was going to. Lots of talk about how. In celebration of 50 years since The Godfather 2, we have Al Pacino giving out Best Picture. Let's play how he did it.
Only one will take the award for Best Picture. And I have to go to the envelope for that. And I will. Here it comes. And my eyes see Oppenheimer. Yes. Yes. Emma Thomas, Charles Grodin.
Yeah. So,
Dude,
here's the thing.
What did he even say?
My eyes see Oppenheimer.
Oh, is that what he said? Yeah. Oh my god, I couldn't even understand him.
He sounds like a drunk bar patron who's like talking to somebody. He's like, yeah, so we did this thing. What? My eyes see, and it's just like so awkward, man. It's so weird.
We got to break it down because, so at the time, it looks like he forgot to read off the nominees again. Like the nominees for Best Picture are, and then they cut to a package and they go through them all again. During the ceremony, every time we came back from commercial, they showed a clip package of, Oppenheimer, and then the next break, Poor Things. Like we saw kind of like leading up to Best Picture. And we thought, oh, he just like forgot. He just didn't do that. Like, oh, this kind of makes it anticlimactic. But then the next day, because he was getting so much, talk about on Twitter and online and stuff like that, the producers came through and the Hollywood Reporter and said that awkward like delivery of how he didn't read off the nominees was a choice by producers. He was told not to, which is an odd choice because so they thought the ceremony was going to be long. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay, well, we're not going to have time to do this. But also, I mean, how much time does it really? And the nominees are American Fiction, Barbie, that. That takes up 10 seconds.
It's going long, so cut off our flagship presentation and just give it to them. Like,
and also, but the thing was, it wasn't going long. They were actually early. They were 5 minutes early, so they had this like awkward extended credit sequence to like make sure they can hit 10:30 for that Abbott Elementary episode.
But also it's just like I don't know. To me, this is like a teaching thing. You review who was up for the award because you might have people tuning in that may not know every single one. And again, it gives them a chance to be like, oh yeah, maybe I want to check them out. They're up for Best Picture. I didn't realize. But even still, I think this is a bad excuse for Al Pacino because I understand maybe they chose not to share the nominees. They went with that decision. But you can deliver the line differently. Yes. Not, I think... Oh, I see Oppenheimer. It's like, I see Oppenheimer. It's Oppenheimer. Like, it's just like, 100%.
100%. Because, yes, okay, I'll give it to him. They told him not to read off the nominees. That's my bad. I was wrong. Okay, that was right. But have you never seen an awards show? Mm-hmm. Like, literally, it's, and the Oscar goes to, or you could say, the Best Picture is. The winner is. Like, give me something here. But for him to say, my eyes see Oppenheimer. Okay, is that
the winner?
Because maybe you don't have your glasses on and it could say Poor Things. It could say something else.
Are you hammered, Al Pacino, and you're seeing that, but it's really something else?
Yeah. I think it was like, he's also doing a little bit of like, I'm not getting in trouble for this La La Land Moonlight mix-up. Yeah. It's like, I'm reading off this, and my eyes are seeing Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
So if you gave me the wrong thing, my eyes are seeing Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. It's just, but then, here's the thing. They weren't ready for, they said, don't read off the nominees, just, say what's on the envelope. But then the control room and the cameras weren't ready. You could see the cameras at the end. Like, oh, where are we going? Like, oh, here it is. First of all, have the camera on Oppenheimer. You know it's going to win, first of all.
Yeah.
But, like, have it ready. Like, it's just, it's just wild. Like, sometimes it's like, you're watching this, it's like, how is this, like, the best? And, like, maybe that's why these are the best. They're awarding the best people in, movie production. So, like, they don't have,
it's
like,
the B team on camera.
So it's like,
oh, that's mean.
No, that's mean. I work in TV production now. They had great people on it, working on a Sunday night doing this. But Yeah, it's just, I don't know. There were some, we'll talk about some other moments in the ceremony. I think you have John Cena, recreating the streaker bit from the 74 ceremony. That was funny. Arnold and Danny DeVito doing the Batman villains reunion, seeing Michael Keaton in the audience. That was good. John Mulaney presenting Best Sound, roasting Madam Web and the whole Field of Dreams joke. I'm putting it on the podcast. Mark it down. He's hosting.
Yeah.
Give it 1 or 2 years. He's going to be host.
Yeah.
This is like, he had a little trial at the Governor's Awards. He did this presenting thing. Everyone's loving it. They will ask him to host it, I'm sure. But we didn't mention it yet. But what are your thoughts, Kyle, on having the 5 past winners?
Yeah,
introducing each of the nominees.
I thought that was interesting. Here's where it could get kind of weird or awkward to me. To me, in these award shows, I'm always waiting for somebody to mess up. And I don't know if that's internally something that I need to deal with, but you would have these moments of people expressing real gratitude or appreciation for the performance, and then other people that it clearly seemed like they didn't see the performance and they were reading something. Yeah. So it was a real mix up. And then you have to sit there and, as someone is saying all these nice things, you have to cut to the reaction of the person just being like, thank you, several times over and over. It was just, so I like the idea. It's just, there's moments of it where it's weird, but there were really good moments where it felt genuine,
Yeah. I mean, I definitely hear you. Obviously, it depends on the pairings, and sometimes you get really good pairings, they have a connection from this movie, or they know each other, and it feels real and genuine. I like how it kind of really celebrates the show's history. It's oh, look at all these people that have won before, they're coming back, and it adds the kind of that to that element. You got some, there was definitely some fun moments, the moment of Nick Cage saying, talking to Paul Giamatti and how he had to wear a contact, to have that lazy eye, and then made him blind in that eye for the role. And would he do something like that? Hell yeah, I would. And it was just such a funny Nick Cage moment. So there was a lot of good stuff like that. Obviously, you mentioned a slip up. Was Tim Robbins saying to Robert De Niro, in an Oscar worthy performance, you know. But I will say the last time they actually did this was the year, I think it was 2008, 2009. I always get it mixed up because I think it's the 2009 Oscars that celebrated the 2008 films, but it was actually when Heath Ledger, in a Nolan film, won supporting actor against Robert Downey Jr., who was in a comedic part for Tropic Thunder. So then flash forward now, obviously Robert Downey Jr. in a Nolan film winning against maybe a comedic part, for Ryan Gosling. I guess maybe, we got years from now, get Gosling in a Nolan film to kind of complete this trifecta of...
Wait, so I want to get... Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for an Oscar for Tropic Thunder.
Yes.
And that movie would never get made today.
Nope.
Which is wild.
Barely was made in 2008. But...
it's great. I love that movie. That movie's hilarious. But yeah, no, I thought the setup they had was fine.
Yeah.
What I will say about the show, that I think is always annoying, and I don't get why it works this way. The cues always seem to be off, whether it's the announcer or something. There's just
I don't know if they,
I can understand a little bit of a
know.
delay, but it's 3-4 second delays. I can understand a second or two, but when you have 3 or 4 seconds, it feels like an eternity.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And I will say, if I had a nitpick with something again, I think I probably bring it up a bunch, but the In Memoriam, I thought there was just way too much going on. They had I'm a dancer. I did contemporary and modern dance. And to have all that stuff in front of the screen when they also have this band playing, it was too much going on. It's and we're so wide in the shots, I couldn't even read who it was and what they did. It's just zoom in. It's fine. It's 2-3 minutes. that's enough right there. It's a powerful enough thing. Show clips from the movie, like that's enough. And it was just too distracting. But here I am sounding like an old man. They're not making this Oscars for me anymore. They're making it for the 18-year-olds. But all right, well, that is it for the Oscars. We're going to now talk about a movie that may be a big player in the Oscars next year. In order to talk about it, we're going to go back, so send us back.
We're back, baby!
Gotta get back in time.
All right, we are back, and it is time for Dune Part 2. It premiered, or was released on March 1st. It has so far made over $374 million worldwide. This film is obviously the second part in this Dune franchise and has Paul Atreides uniting the Fremen while also seeking revenge against the conspirators who destroyed his family and took everyone's favorite Duncan Idaho away from us too soon. Maybe that's not his main thing, but it was mostly about the family. But yeah, so we're going to break this down. Kyle and I saw it together. Give me your thoughts, Kyle. What did you think of Dune Part 2?
I thought it was badass. I really liked it. I love the world. I love the production design. The cinematography is top notch. I can imagine that it's going to be up for a bunch of awards for that. That the performances, Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, everyone is fantastic. Except for maybe Christopher Walken. I've just felt like it was just such a weird casting, but whatever. But the world, I love the world. I mean, I've seen Dune, the first one, several times now, probably 5 or 6 times. And so I'm really into it. I thought the battles were intense. I think the scenes where we're trying to move the storyline are very good. I get that it can be confusing. I was talking with some coworkers about this where they're just confused by it a lot. But I think on a second watch with the closed captions, it makes it much easier to get. And then once you get that, like the interactions between the actors and the characters add even more depth to it. I think it was really, really good and really well done. There might be some nitpicks about pacing, which I felt like we did at the end, speed through some stuff. And I felt like maybe some characters didn't get a send-off or like a fight that they probably should have been bigger. But overall, this thing was really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, I'd say, it's a sequel that lives up to the hype. I mean, I heard it, being compared to kind of the Empire Strikes Back of like the Star Wars trilogy in terms of one of those films that, like, of course you have the original, but then you have that second film that's really, really good, maybe just as good or better than the original. And maybe it's because like I just rewatched part 1 before I saw part 2. Maybe it's an explainer video I got on TikTok about, just the whole universe. But I enjoyed this one more. Maybe it's the world was already established, so I could maybe follow a bit better. I already knew the main players, so maybe I already just had that like groundwork to enjoy the second one more. But no, I was into it. There were definitely sequences that are, on the edge of your seat, like with the action and just like, with the music and like just the rumbling of, the bass. Like it's just, it's a good ride. There's a lot going on. I want to talk a little bit about some of the characters and some of the performances because you got, Timothy as Paul Atreides. You got Zendaya here as well, kind of like the two, I guess, main stars of this film. I will say the one thing I always have a hard time with them specifically as actors, it's like I have a hard time with them like in this world because I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was my wife or just somebody on like Twitter. It's like they look like people who know what like an iPhone is. They know they have an Instagram account. Like it's just hard to like separate it. It's like like that's Rue from Euphoria. I see so it's like it's hard to fully sometimes buy it. But I will say I really bought the chemistry they had together, and then later on, the heartbreak that she has later on in the film. I bought all that. So. Well, maybe sometimes it's like, this is like this skinny punk, Paul here. What is it really? Okay, come on, Timothy. Like, but then there's other moments that, it's really is sold and you kind of forget all about that. And
for sure,
I'd say one person that did take me out, was definitely Christopher Walken as the Emperor.
Was such a weird choice for a casting. I don't know why, but also he was just doing his Christopher Walken thing, and it just felt very out of place, man. Yeah.
It's just like because he had that like the rhythm, and it's just like I know it's hard to shake. I know it's like he's one of those people like put him in anything, it's gonna be hard not to see Christopher Walken, but it's just. I don't know. I feel like in a film like this, I'm sure anybody would have signed up to do this. Any big character actor, any, London stage star kind of thing. And it's just, I don't know. He just pulled me out of it. It was the rhythm. And there just wasn't also like a lot for him to do. Yeah. Maybe there would be more later on. I mean, one person that really, swung for the fences was Austin Butler. He went for it. He goes for it. And, say what you will, but he tried something, and it made it a very interesting, unique character. I didn't see Elvis in this performance, I'll tell you that. But any thoughts on Austin Butler's character?
Well, I mean, he just epitomized what a psychopathic ruler would be like. And the fight sequence he was in was very cool. Just his interaction with the Bene Gesserit, and he was flawed with this psychopathic tendency, and he could be extremely angry, but then manipulated. And you saw like with his uncle, how he had some kind of like loyalty there. So they even with that psychopathic role, he was able to add a little bit more to it. So I think he did a really good job. And so much so, in fact, like I didn't really see him in that role, and like I'm like when he popped up on the screen, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I almost didn't recognize him at first, and then I was like, I forgot he was in this movie. So I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, and I don't have too much to, for another new character with Florence Pugh. Like I feel like I need more still. Just kind of like how Zendaya in the first film didn't have too much. I'm guessing. Florence Pugh is going to have more in the third film, but like I'm excited to see her added into this universe. You really have like a strong four with Timothy, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, and Austin Butler in this film. Like it's one of those things. I saw like a Hollywood Reporter article with the four of them on the cover. It's like these are our new Hollywood stars, and it's like, okay, I feel safe with this group. If that's our group going forward in other films, that's a good group to have. I guess you mentioned this, Kyle. If I was going to maybe complain about anything, I feel like a bit of the end was like yada yada. It was like, so we saw it at Alamo, which I don't know if it's like 45 minutes or like something, and from the end, they do like a last call and give out the receipts or whatever. So you kind of know like, all right, we're almost done kind of thing. Like that's the movie's wrapping up. I'm like, how are they going to wrap this thing up? Like, we haven't even gotten to the, Butler versus Timmy fight yet. Like, they built up this character. We're going to have to see these two, do something here. This better not end again, like, on a cliffhanger. Like, I thought it was more of a complete story from what I was told. But then, like, I guess, here it is, a spoiler alert for the end, but it's like between, the end of Austin Butler's character, the end of Baron. It's just like, I felt all those things. It's like, you get there, and then it's just like, I'm expecting like a big battle or big something, and it was just like with the Baron, it's just like, yep, dead, it's over. And it was just like, wait, like, maybe I'm more used to like recent movies where it's like, oh, the bad guy got away, and now he's doing this plan and this thing, and then this, and then, but it's like, nope, we're in the 2-room, and I stabbed you, you're dead.
Yeah, the only thing I could think about is maybe it speaks to like the power that Paul now has, in that the Baron is reaching for the throne, killed his father and all these things, and now look how easy it can be done right here. And I because I have that power, I have that strength now.
Maybe you would know this, but what stops like someone like Paul to be just like use the voice all the time and just be like, you all are my subjects, and Austin Butler die, or something.
I was thinking that while I was watching the movie as well, and I don't know. I don't know.
Like maybe it's like one of those things where it's like it's not like a long-term trusting bond, and like you have to like really win them over.
But I know
before you can force them to be your subjects.
But I always thought he thought of the Bene Gesserit as not something he wanted to be a part of. I think he was reluctant because in the first movie, he says his mom made him a freak by doing that. And even still, he didn't even want to go to the South to become like this lord or whatever. So I think it's something he reluctantly does. And I don't know if he wishes, because even when he's the ruler of the Fremen, essentially, he wants them to have the power back. What is the Bene Gesserit? What does that voice do? It's controlling. It's not giving power back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
sense.
more of an explanation in the book, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we should have said this up front. We are not book experts. We're not doing experts here. So
God,
don't come for us. We're trying. We're trying our best. But I will say, we talked about technical achievement, the music, the sound, the scope. I like how this film doesn't dumb it down or make sure you see exactly everything going on. Like there was a far shot of Timmy riding the sandworm, and of course we're in the desert. Sand's gonna be flying everywhere, and when we're seeing it from the far shot, you're not gonna see him clearly. You're gonna see him, obscured and oh, it's dark, and I was struggling to find where is he? I can't see him. It's that's what would it be actually like if he was on a sandworm in the desert, not this perfect here I am kind of thing. And you can see, oh, there he is clearly as he goes by. So I think I just like how we're treated. There's some films out there right now that it's just they have to dumb it down for everyone. And I feel with this, it's no, it's
you
hop on the sandworm
meet us.
if you're on it or not. Get on or get off.
Yep. You got to meet us at this level because we're all going at this pace here.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the technical awards. I'll say obviously this could be a big player next year for the Oscars. Been really interesting if this came out this past October when it was supposed to, and go against Oppenheimer at the Oscars. I don't know where it would have gone. Obviously the Academy loved Oppenheimer. Where would it have gone? Maybe it got some technical awards. It looks like it has a good shot at the Oscars next year. I'm not exactly sure what's coming out. I know there's a Mad Max Furiosa movie, which the last one did pretty well at the Oscars and the tech awards as well. So who knows? But what I worry about is I think people, after seeing the second film, it seems like it's setting up a final third film. And I wonder if it's going to be we'll reward it like we did for Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, as a milestone of the trilogy, the last one. Even with Spider-Verse, this most recent one, it's the second one in the trilogy. There's going to be another one. We'll reward it then. But right now, let's give it to the Boy and the Heron.
Yeah.
So it's I wonder that. And all I've heard about part 3 is how it's a bit more out there, maybe less action packed, and maybe they'll change it to make it more cinematic. But it just seems like it's a little bit more out there. It seems like we got a tease with Anya Taylor-Joy, this cameo of Paul's unborn sister. So it's are we going to get some massive time jump? Is going to be a completely different thing, a different world, different people. Who knows? But you have any thoughts on Dune 3 and where this thing goes?
I'm nervous because I've heard the quality in books goes down after the first one. So I think it was even a Hollywood Reporter or Variety article is Dune's future problem. The books are bad or something like that. So I'm hoping that the film can salvage or adapt from what they have.
Take the good stuff and add in the...
Do we know if Denis Villeneuve is directing the third one?
I mean, it's not set in stone yet. Obviously, he's probably just picking himself up from the second one. But I would be shocked if he doesn't want to complete this trilogy. I'm assuming that's what it's going to be. I know there's more books, but I really think he's going to tell this story, and then he's be I got these 3 perfect, good films. I'm out. I'm not going to keep doing 10 of these.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be Avatar 7 here.
Yeah, it would just be a shame for maybe Dune, the part 2, to be the best one, and then it not rewarded for because we want to reward it after that. They kind of did that with the Lord of the Rings because the Two Towers was seen as the major one with the battle at Helm's Deep and all that. But
that's the Oscars for it. I mean, Leo wins for The Revenant. It's all these people they won for that.
Yeah.
What about this one? I mean, Martin Scorsese, as we talked about, Departed. Yeah, it's good, but you look at his full filmography here, it's like, is it really like the best? I don't know. Like, it's just it's his time. We got to do it now. But all right, well, that I think concludes Dune Part 2. Hopefully, we didn't spoil too much for you, John.
All good.
But we got a few more things to talk about. Just enough time. We'll do it quickly. Let's do some quick checks.
Quick check.
All right, Kyle, what do you got? You got a TV show for us?
Yeah, so I've been watching Shogun. I think they're up to 4. I've seen all 4. Basically, we're in Japan. I want to say early 1600s, and a major ruler has died and left everything to 4 separate rulers, and now they're vying for power in Japan. And we're kind of following one of the regents or members that is part of this council, and him trying to kind of fulfill this wish by the main emperor that died to kind of rule Japan again. And then we get this character of this English sailor who is coming over and is kind of getting mixed in with the Japanese, and is a big part of the Japanese because he has a ship with these guns that Japan doesn't have. And he's also explaining the Catholic religion is becoming big in Japan. And so you've got like these Catholic factions versus so he's a part of, like, he's not Catholic, but he's telling these Japanese rulers about how the Catholics are trying to take over. And so he's intertwined in all this mess. I enjoy it. I think the production values are still good. The acting is good. There are some moments where you get some green screen mess. But overall, I think it's a solid show. And I think you could definitely watch way worse stuff. Last thing I'll mention about the show, confusing to me because in Japan, again, around this time, they had a lot of Portuguese, and that's where the Catholics were coming from. So they have the Japanese speaking in Japanese with the captions. Down with that. Got it. Then you have the English sailor interacting with other characters of Spanish descent or whatever, and they're speaking English, but they're referencing that the English is Portuguese, because the idea, I guess, is that Portuguese would have been the major language spoken besides Japanese at that. But they don't want to have a whole dialogue, closed caption show. So they make the Portuguese the English, but then they reference it to characters like, oh, your Portuguese has gotten much better. And I'm like,
that's weird.
Their English they're speaking English. So it's very strange. And it's even more strange, the confusion, because the English sailor was speaking English, but they're referencing him speaking Portuguese. It's just a little bit confusing. And I knew I wasn't the only one because I searched this up online, and it was a question that other people are having. So I'm not
interesting. Dumb. You know, I've heard good things about this show. I've heard the production design. I've heard it compared to Game of Thrones. It's just one of those things where it's just like, you know me with the old stuff, the Game of Thrones, that stuff. Sometimes it just doesn't fully click with me. Maybe I'll give it a shot, especially if you think it's something I would dig. But
can you show frontal female nudity in cable? Because they're doing it.
I would say, what frontal are we talking about? The top frontal?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because the bottom frontal, no way.
Okay, I was like, wait. Yeah. Wow.
And there's so many rules with what time it's airing, the rating, the amount of disclaimers. It is pretty I mean,
Wild West.
That's another topic for another day. But so that's Shogun. That's on FX, and I'm going to talk about a show that just wrapped up. It's a reality show, season 2 of The Traitors, and I'll give a brief summary of this, and then I'll kind of dive in just a couple points I want to make. It just wrapped up, so I guess I will spoil the end of season 2. It's been really talked about this season. They had season 1 last year, and I think season 2 was a big like social media. Just it kept building every week because season 1 was dropped as a binge. Season 2 was week to week, and which was a great choice from the show. The way to describe the show, it's a game of Mafia. If you ever played that before, where in this castle everyone's invited, and there's a bunch of faithfuls, but Alan Cumming as the host, he chooses 2 or 3 traitors that are unbeknownst to the faithfuls, and the faithfuls have to figure out who the traitors are amongst them. And every night the traitors will murder somebody, quote unquote, and that person leaves. So then they're trying to figure out who did that? Why did they do this? Is it this person? And then every week the faithfuls have a chance to banish somebody. So they have this round table, like, I think so-and-so is a traitor. I think so-and-so. And then they vote, and then it's like, okay, you're eliminated. What are you? And they're like, I'm a faithful, you idiots. And it's like, oh, like we missed it. We didn't get a traitor. So it's them trying to figure out who is the traitor amongst the faithfuls. And this first season was half reality stars, half normal people. This second season, they went all in on reality shows, which is awesome for me. This is like fan fiction. It's all stars from all these different shows together. It's like Super Smash Brothers. It's like you got Big Brother, you have Survivor, you have The Challenge, RuPaul's Drag Race, Bravo, Dancing with the Stars. One of these people is the former UK a House Speaker. It's just like random. It's just like throw them all in. We'll see what happens. And 2 traitors this season were considered gamers, from like Survivor, Big Brother. And I feel like, they had this one Bravo traitor, and it was hard because like the 2 gamers were clearly targets because they know them as gamers, and but they were the ones making all the decisions. So the Bravo person kind of had an easier ride for the most part. But then you saw once those gamers were gone, and it was just that Bravo person in charge, man, there was just mistakes after mistakes. And they recruited another Bravo person who unknowingly came in halfway through, which was annoying and weird twist. But this recruited traitor was the last one standing, for the traitors. Yeah. And makes one of the biggest, dumbest moves ever in the history of like the final ceremony. It's like, okay, so someone was murdered the night before, which means there's at least one traitor in the game. There has to be. They do a banishment, and they vote out a faithful. It's like, okay, whoops, we screwed up. So that would mean there's still one traitor left. You didn't get the traitor out. So in the very final ceremony, pretty much you get a choice. You can say, we're going to end the game now and say, yep, we got all the traitors, or you're going to keep voting until you get a traitor, until you feel comfortable and you trust everyone there that we got all the traitors. There's 4 people, 3 vote to keep going, and vote more people off. And then the one person votes to end the game. And that person was the traitor. It's like, what? Why would you? Like, the traitor's like, I think we got them all. No, you didn't, because somebody was murdered.
Oh my God.
Like, you have to be able to throw somebody else under the bus. You have to have the next move. And I feel like the Bravo people never really fully got that, like playing like moves ahead. And say what you will about those gamers who, got called out early on, but they at least were making the decisions. They were making the move. And you get to the very end. There's 3 people left, 3-way vote. There's only faithfuls left at this point, but 2 are super close, tight friends. And eventually they break the tie. That third person's gone. The 2 people that were tight win. And that third person is so mad. And it's just like, you stabbed me in the back. And again, I have to remind them, the show is called The Traitors. Yeah. And because at the end of the game, if the faithfuls knock out all the traitors, this prize pot, they split it amongst them. But if one traitor makes it to the end, they get all the money. The traitor gets all the money. So, obviously you want to get all the traitors out. But for me, I'll just say real quick, the thing I loved was the 2 traitors I've been talking about, the gamers. Seeing Parvati and seeing Dan Giesling on my screen again was awesome. Dan is a huge Big Brother legend. Parvati obviously is a big Survivor legend. So seeing them on my screen was great, and then seeing them as traitors was also great. And yeah, Dan had some rough goes at this, and he made this one choice that a lot of people, especially Bravo fans, did not like, because Dan plays a very quiet game. 100 Days of Big Brother, like it's a long, slow game, but with traitors, it's like 2 weeks. So he can't do the same thing. So he had a hard time adjusting. He was suspected. He's a pretty much almost a 2-time Big Brother winner. He's a legend. So they thought something was up, and they were kind of putting pointing the fingers at him. He needed a big name, a big move. So he's like, I got to give them a traitor. Like, I have to give them traitor blood, pretty much. So they're happy, and they maybe will stop thinking about me. And he can't give them Parvati, because it's like, and that's the other thing. You can't, like, as a traitor, say, I know so-and-so's a traitor because I'm a traitor. You can't say it like that. You kind of have to, like, plant seeds to maybe sell someone out. But everyone was already suspecting Parvati. So it's like, you can't say her and be like, my big person, after I've been thinking about this whole time, is Parvati. And everyone's like, yeah, no crap. Like, we all know that. So he has to give the other one, which is Phaedra. And he gives this big case, and it was just a little too late. The seeds didn't have enough time to grow. And Dan goes home, but that moment, everyone, like, one person was like, well, why would Dan say that? I think Phaedra's a traitor. So then everyone online is like, Dan, you didn't play right, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's the game. Sari had to vote out Cody season 1, who was a traitor. It's like, you save your own butt. The show is called The Traitors. It's not called The Friends. It's like,
How many are traitors?
So they started the thing with 2, and then, like,
there was a
2,
third,
and they were allowed to recruit somebody.
Okay.
So they had 3.
Okay.
But then
I thought you said
pretty
that.
much.
All right.
Yeah. So, but then they get a little fast and loose with the rules, where it's like, at one point, Dan leaves, so now there's 2. And then it's like, oh, then Parv left, and now there's only 1. So then she was able to recruit another one.
Oh my
So there was always at least 1 or 2 in the mix. They want at least probably 1 in the finals. That's the goal, I think. But anyways, a lot going on, a lot of fun with it. I think that maybe the first half of the season was more tighter, fun, and maybe got a little sloppy towards the end, but still a good time. So I recommend it if you have Peacock and to check it out. I know I went a little over, so John, I'm sorry about that. What do you got for a quick check?
It's all good. I have Helldivers 2. I'm going to toss some of the soundtrack on in the background because I absolutely love the soundtrack. But so this is a PvE game, player versus environment, up to 4 players, that is cross-platform between PC and PlayStation 5. And if you've seen Starship Troopers, it's probably very familiar. You have this government that is, the rulers of Super Earth, they call it, and you're helping defend the galaxy from all these bugs, the Terminids that are trying to disturb our way of life, and this elite faction of mechs that are robots. And it's basically just a fun run and gun with up to a couple buddies, and like I said, the music's great, and I've really been enjoying playing it. As you play, you unlock more weapons, obviously, and you unlock these things called stratagems, where while you're running around, you can input a certain key combo on your arrow keys and call down giant guns or napalm strikes or space lasers to try and get rid of these enemies. A lot of them have natural armor, so you'll be shooting them and your bullets will be ricocheting off and maybe coming back at you, hitting your teammates, and you're really trying, it's a very hectic environment that you're really trying to eliminate all these enemies, and it's been a lot of fun. I definitely recommend checking it out, even if you don't have a PlayStation or a PC to play it on. It's definitely worth checking out some gameplay and seeing how people are playing it, and some of the bonds that are formed in these groups where you're trying to help your buddies and defend Super Earth. So definitely worth taking a look.
Yeah, wow, I'd say you did it great also with the music, with the fade out and your review. Like, we need to put that music under more stuff. That was really good. I'm into that.
The soundtrack is amazing. There's nothing is more exhilarating when you're at the final stages of a run and you're waiting 2 minutes, 3 minutes for the extract vehicle to come down and save you, and you just have this epic like music in the background, and it's you're one of the mechanics is there's the ships that supply you leave at a certain point, so you might be without resupply or without all these big weapons, and you're kind of just on your own at the very end, depending on how long you take. And so you can be just isolated, the 4 of you, or if people start dying off, 3, 2, 1 of you, and you're just trying to beat the clock and wait for the ship to come down. And it gets intense. It's great.
Wow. Yeah, sounds cool. Yeah. All right. 3 good quick checks this week. And that's it. That's all we got for this week, man. We went a little over, but hey, like, we're going to be off next week. That can tide you over until we're back on Wednesday, March 27th. We're going to talk about The Three Body Problem on Netflix, the new Benioff and Weiss adaptation. That's going to be on Netflix. We're going to check that out on Wednesday, March 27th. And then in April, it's going to be a very busy April. We got the Curb series finale. We got the Fallout series premiere. A lot going on the podcast. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, doordoncy.com. We are live on Twitch and on YouTube at the same time, twitch.tv/doordoncy. And of course, you can find us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/doordoncy. You can also follow us on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at doordoncy. So many places for you to follow and subscribe. I got to thank both of you guys for joining me tonight. For John, for directing the show, adding in music, the graphics, getting the show up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you so much.
Amen.
All right. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
And I'm Cobberger.
And that's all we got for Do or Duncy. Goodbye, everybody.